The earnings season will be different from all others, and it will give investors their first look at the impact of the coronavirus shutdown on our economy. Dom Chu joins us now with more. I saw you. I'm a big fan, Dom. I got to say, saw you earlier today on Worldwide Exchange.
Yeah. I mean, this has been an early call for me for the past few weeks now. I think just trying to get everything going again. And, of course, everybody's social distancing. I'm one of a handful of people in our studio these days. It's pretty empty, as you can imagine, with everybody kind of at home. But, I mean, we've been grappling with the same story ideas that we've been talking about now for a couple of weeks. And that's trying to find some clarity, Joe, around what's going to happen with coronavirus. Now, the earnings season that's coming up is going to be very heavy towards banks, like it always is, but it's going to be a little bit more focused this time around on any commentary that these banks have around what they see financially and economically as an impact from the virus itself. So just to put the state of play out there, we do have a number of these banks coming out, 2 Dow components, by the way, in both JPMorgan Chase and then Goldman Sachs later on this week as well. If you take a look at the picture for these banks, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, various banks from money centers like Citigroup and JPMorgan Chase to investment banks like Morgan Stanley, also the custody banks like State Street, all providing a different picture for different parts of the market. Credit risk will be a huge factor in some of these calls coming up, whether these banks see any kind of a real economic impact hitting its customers. Now, if you take a look at the broader picture for earnings overall this week, we do have 24 S&P 500 components reporting, and like I said, 4 Dow components between Goldman Sachs, also what's happening with, of course, JPMorgan Chase, and then United Health Group, health insurer, the biggest in America, coming up later on this week, and then also Johnson & Johnson as well later on today. So you'll have a healthcare and financial view of those 4 Dow components. What it comes down to is whether or not any of these companies this time around, as Joe mentioned, will be able to provide any kind of clarity with regard to the future impact of this virus. Now, for many companies with a lot of U.S. exposure, we're not going to see a lot of those impacts come through in this particular earnings report. Remember, because the economic shutdowns didn't happen until the middle of March at the tail end of the first quarter. But what some of these companies can do, Andrew, Becky, Joe, if they have China-centric operations, global operations, this past quarter may show some of the reopening of Chinese activities. So if you're looking for a possible blueprint for what could happen as economies start to reopen, look towards some of the companies we've mentioned in the past in this earnings season that have significant China operations. We're talking about companies like Caterpillar, Apple, we're talking about Nike, perhaps Tiffany, Starbucks, McDonald's. Any of those types of companies may be able to provide a glimpse as to what happens when an economy starts to reopen. That'll be key, guys, to watch in this coming earnings season.